as far as I'm concerned, you know, when you look at it, I don't see race, class, or anything else. I see children that are below grade level, and if they're segregated in one area, and they're not passing, something has to be done. So you cannot get a sound basic education when you keep on kicking the can down the road. Go back 10 years, go back 20 years. They were all over the county. They were Coolwood, upper middle income, bus children out to Coolwood. When I got involved in Committee 23, the first thing we asked Rockman Kahn is to give us some numbers. There was 30% difference in children low income than the kids in that neighborhood. They were riding this long bus out there, and they covered it up for years out there. 20–30% difference. We still got the numbers. So then they said neighborhoods. Or
difference in number?
Difference, the gap. 30% difference in the gap, and people were shocked because we were supposed to be the model southern city to make this work. Well, somebody wasn't telling that until we started asking the questions in Committee 23. This is about the time the lawsuit got started and all that other stuff. So we're saying, how can this be? How can they be sitting in the same classroom? And they said, well, we can't segregate, we can't separate. So everybody's staying in the classroom because of the law. There's a lot of laws back then I think have changed now. I think it's the way charter schools get around some of this stuff. They're don't have to obey the same rules that CMS did back there and then. So whether you've got them at Coolwood at 30% or you got them down here, everything we've tried to do doesn't seem to be moving it. We've got to come up with a better plan. Now, what is the answer to that? We've got, instead of having a chamber group come together and tell us we have to be decentralized and putting it in theory of action, so we decentralize. What we do, we spend more money putting offices up in North Mecklenburg County and paying these big staff. Back to the question on pay. They brought a secretary in up around $80,000 a year. Secretaries make $20–25,000 a year. You didn't think that created a morale problem? When they got out how much the regional secretary was making? So, you know, they come up with all these grand ideas, but it's like it doesn't work. And they're not going back and 3 months later, 6 months later, and says, well, prove to me what you said you're going to do, you're doing. Don't keep kicking the can down the road for years. I shouldn't be back in here after 10 years talking about this. This should have been handled when Louis retired. I went out to be retired. We thought it was being handled, but now we're finding it's not. So something, back to your question though, we've got to do something.
But take for example a school where the poverty rate among the kids is 90-some%. You don't think changing assignment or doing like we used to do, like you said, that's not the solution. It's not the solution to go back and do like you know, as you said we used to do.
Well, I mean, if I go back and look what they did,
yeah.
If we're gonna go back, how long is it going to take us to realize that they still don't do it? We fought the same argument in the Martin Committee. A guy named Mark Irwin, who was Bill Clinton's appointee ambassador to one of the Caribbean islands. Yeah. He was at the Sugar Creek Charter School, and he said go visit Sugar Creek Charter School, and they've got poor children at 70% on grade level. I don't know what it is today, but that's back when the Martin Committee was going. So here you have an argument saying the charter schools are doing it, and we're saying, well, yeah, but they got different rules. So every time you start down one way, they say something else. We've got to get in one room and figure this out. And you got to get the right people in that room that don't have any hidden agendas and saying, right here on this page, we got half of these children below grade level. How are we going to solve this? It hasn't been done.
Who do you think should be in that room?
Well, definitely the new superintendent. To start with, the school board should be there, but you need to have some experienced teachers. There's a couple of people running for the candidates, and I'm impressed with some of their real. They've been in there. They're in content. They're on the ground level. The board's position is what I call the 50,000 altitude level. You've got to be out there and you've got to cover it. Some of the candidates have got some great ideas. You know, they've been in the classroom, they know what's going on, and I don't think anybody's ever asked them to come into a room. It's always been politicians pick your appointee, and then just like the Super Congress, they're going to pick the person that represents them the most and go in there and slug it out. You've got to find somebody to walk into a room with a facilitator who is a true facilitator that has no interest in the content, that facilitates the group through a process. Not one of the local companies that come in and say, we need this outcome. you bring in an outside facilitator who knows nothing about CMS, they have no content knowledge whatsoever, and you put them in a room with experienced teachers. You may have a transportation consultant in there because it involves transportation maybe. It'd be neat to put all those folks together in a room and just see what they can. So this is your problem, solve this problem.